So, if we take this concept, here we are in our little four-dimensional bubble or playground. It's described as a bubble in quantum physics, in this huge multi-dimensional universe. But here's our playground, our little four dimensions bounded by height, width, depth, and time. And within our playground, we've had energy healing. We filled to capacity with energy healing. Reiki, Jorei, Jinshin, Qigong, Mahjong, Beijing, ABC, XYZ, EFG, and it's all about me, healing techniques, the doing aspects. These are different subsets of energy healing. But here comes the second understanding that we have today. Time is moving faster. But if you speak to the researchers, they will explain to you that faster is not the most appropriate term. In actuality, time is expanding. See, faster is a linear concept, one direction, beginning, middle, end. But what's happening is that time is moving faster in all directions, so it's expanding. Now overlay these two concepts. Here we are in a little four-dimensional bubble bounded by height, width, depth, and time, filled to capacity with energy. And suddenly, at least one component of our bubble, the time component, is expanding. So is our playground here in the universe. So is our capacity to receive from the more multi-dimensional universe, and so we are now receiving more beyond energy into a spectrum comprised of energy, light, and information as far as we can recognize. And of course, there are aspects of it that we may not recognize, such as we didn't recognize the fourth dimension, even though we were in it. So, if everything is God, if everything is love, if everything is universe, and yet we're now interacting with a spectrum that goes beyond energy, where it used to be that these things were subsets of energy healing, but now we find that energy healing itself is a subset of a larger spectrum, then we're accessing a more comprehensive form of the universe, and it takes us beyond the limitations and the constraints and the illusions of time, of space, and the weaknesses and frailties of energy healing. For instance, in many forms of energy healing, we have to take off our metal and our jewelry, our leather, our belts, our battery packs. Nothing stops this. This has been demonstrated to go right through metal as if metal's not there. No one has to take off their jewelry. Mother, Father, God, I mean, if we think logically, whatever word we use, I promise you that Mother, Father, God's not floating around saying, gee, I really like that person to have a healing, but that ring, can't penetrate that ring, spiritual kryptonite. I mean, it doesn't happen that way once we access Source. Limitations, frailties, and weaknesses come about when we're only accessing part of something. You know, there are many stories throughout various religions and cultures where they speak of a time where we were one in a much fuller, more expanded way. There are concepts that the meridian lines that run along our bodies used to be part of a much more powerful system because they would extend off of our bodies, tie into the ley lines that encircle the planet, encircle the globe, and continue out, tying us in to the other stars and planets and the space and dimensions in between. And some say that there came at a certain point in time a separation, at a time where we separated from that fullness. As of that separation, the universe continued to unfold and expand in its own marvelous rate. We as human beings continued to unfold and expand and evolve also, but maybe not at that same rate. Yet we've evolved sufficiently, it would seem, that we are coming back into a fuller connection with the universe, becoming more multidimensional beings. This level of healing through the reconnection, the researchers feel, is here for the very first time on the planet. Maybe what they mean by that is that it's for the very first time since we'd become a little bit separated and coming back to our evolution. because everything that they've researched so far, all of the energy healing techniques known today, the old ones and the new ones that are coming out each and every week with the cute little names, none of them seem to do what this does, because their limitation is that they are energy. Even though sometimes the words say that it's something else, they seem to be just energy. And yet this allows us to access something broader. This might be what many of us are considering as having the potential of allowing us to evolve into becoming fifth dimensional beings. Now, fifth dimensional is a funny term, because if you really understand fifth dimensional, then you know that the word fifth dimensional is already wrong. Because fifth dimensional means, once we enter that state, that we become time is simultaneous. Everything is one. There's nothing that's linear any longer. So there's no 5, 6, 7, 8. When someone speaks of the 7th, the 10th dimension, you already know that they don't understand, because once we're in the 5th dimension, everything is simultaneous. It's also very difficult to see another dimension from the dimensions on which we currently exist. There is something that you can probably Google up called flatlanders. And that was written and come up with, I think, in the 1800s to demonstrate this. And they had two-dimensional beings, you know, lines and circles and squares. And suddenly one of them began to understand what was considered being three-dimensional and tried to explain it to the others, but they couldn't understand it because, for instance, they saw everything flat. And they couldn't understand how you could look down and see everything at once. So that became problematic for understanding. What I'm leading to in this is the Mayans, the Incas, Nostradamus, Course in Miracles, other people have all seemed to be, Greg Braden, acknowledging a shift of ages, a shift in time. And many of the calendars and predictions all seem to stop somewhere around the year 2012. Many people point to a big time shift occurring that started somewhere around 1987, which is when the harmonic convergence came about, and is supposed to carry through to 2012. Might this shift in time be this multidimensional change and evolution that we're going through? Might it be culminating or reaching that next point in approximately the year 2012? Now, I know that when we interact with this new healing frequency, there's an alteration, there's a change. There are some very unusual things that happen during this that made me really have to sit back and question my own sanity. I mean, the fact is, there was a 3-month period of time where patients lost consciousness and channeled in or brought in 6 different unique phrases, even though none of them knew each other. And the sentences had a lot of insight. Not that I could see the insight then as much as I can now over time. And I know I'll find more. The first phrase was, "We are here to tell you to continue doing what you are doing." Now, to understand how strange this was, it began when I would hold my hands near them, and suddenly their eyes would start to move and their tongue would move and they would speak. So I was a little freaked out, but I listened. We're here to tell you to continue doing what you were doing. That doesn't mean do the same old thing. Because to continue implies a continuation or a continuum. The next phrase was, what you were doing is bringing light and information onto the planet. Now, I didn't understand that at all. Information triggered in my mind, I don't know, how to grow giant vegetables or time travel. And light to me was just some kind of a fancy little word, like a decoration to the sentence, like parsley, you know, on a plate. You don't eat it, but it makes it look pretty. then I thought, well, why didn't they say light and love? Because light and love is a very new agey way of signing letters and things like that.